When did farmers become the villains? When did the disconnect happen is what I don't understand.
So that's what we got for American farmers, is zero empathy. Last thing I want is an American farmer to go under because us as Americans didn't want to do anything to support them.
Oh my God, can you guys just stop lying for 2 seconds? Please, just stop lying. Nobody's mad at you because you're a farmer. We all recognize how important farmers are. We all appreciate farmers. We're mad at you because you voted for this and you're playing victim as if you didn't vote for this. And I don't even mean this in a fuck around and find out type of way because you already found out in his first term. His horrible policies led to him having to bail you out. And you knew this. That's why I know you didn't vote for him because of the farm or because of the economy. You voted for him for different reasons. And let's start being honest. Your community is a huge reason why we have a sociopath in office, why we have an adjudicated rapist in office, why we have someone who tried to overthrow our government in office, why we have a 34-time felon in office, why we have a president who is actively ruining every part of our economy in office. You voted for that, knowing that he was going to do it because he did it to you in the first term, and y'all didn't care because trans people or something. Also, sidebar, I voted for you. For what it's worth, I voted for you. Okay? Leftists voted for you. The left voted for you. We vote for a collective. We vote for other people. To sit here and act like, this is America, why are we not rooting for each other? That's what our vote does. That's how we look at elections. That's how we look at candidates. For you to come to us and say, how come the people who want everybody to have healthcare, who wants everybody to have public education, who wants everybody to have childcare, how come they don't want to be a part of this community that we have over here? How come they're mad at us? When we voted for you, and we voted for the exact solution that you were asking for right now, is absolutely insane.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, go ahead and hit that like, subscribe, and tap that notification bell so you don't miss any of our deep dives into the latest political chaos, economic plot twists, and the interesting choices people make that somehow affect the entire nation. Now, grab a snack, settle in, because today's story, it's messy. Now, so apparently the same MAGA farmers who spent years cheering for build the wall, close the borders, and send them back are now shocked, literally shocked, that there's nobody left to work on their farms. Now, they are drowning in poverty, crops are rotting, labor is non-existent, and they're wondering why things aren't going the way the campaign slogans promised. Who could have seen that coming? Oh, right? Literally everyone with common sense.
Y'all saw the news out of Nebraska today. Apparently our entire state is going to go bankrupt in 2 quarters. Me and my husband owned a cattle ranch here, and I can confirm that all of the cattle ranchers here overwhelmingly voted for Trump. We support him. We voted for him. Something like 70% of our entire workforce is undocumented immigrants, and they straight up are not showing up for work anymore. They have all either fled the country, fled the state. They don't want to get raided while at work, so they have just moved on to work somewhere else. And straight up, we are going to go bankrupt now. We are going to go bankrupt, and yeah, we voted. We knew that the immigrants would get deported and he was coming after immigrants, yet we still voted for it. Overwhelmingly voted for our own demise. I was talking to my husband last night, and I have to admit that it seems a bit foolish now when you think about it like that we voted for something that is now putting us directly out of business.
I want to talk about something that's not talked about that much. All these farmers, I don't know, 70, 80% of them vote for Trump. They got bailed out again. These guys get to be racist fucking assholes and vote for Trump even though it's going to hurt their business, and then call everybody else socialist and then get bailed out by us. If you know a farmer that voted for Trump and got help with the government, ridicule that fuck out of them. I'm sick of these fucks, man. You know, they can't sell their crops to China anymore, but at least trans people are scared, right? E-I-E-I-O. Fuck American right-wing farmers. Fuck you. This is from me, and this is from the heart. You put us through the misery of having a racist asshole in charge, and you get bailed out both times. That's how much of a piece of shit you are. You know he hurts your bottom line, but you'll know you'll be bailed out. Fuck MAGA farmers. Fuck them. Peace the fuck out.
All right, we've got the farmers that voted for Trump because he was so for ag and all this other stuff, and the American farmers and all those middle of the country speeches he gave with all of those rallies that he's been holding for how many straight years, even through his first presidency. And the farmers have gotten kind of screwed. In the first administration, the tariffs kind of caused a lot of the closings of the farms. Now, these farms were in very bad situations because the tariffs made other countries not buy American agriculture, which is happening right now. Soy, for instance, soy farmers, 58% of all of their sales go to places like China, who aren't doing any business with the United States because of Trump tariffs. The car companies, construction companies, the other companies that rely on parts or equipment or computers or whatever with parts that are made in other countries. All of these things have accumulated, and farmers are hit with every level of that. Their machines break down. Their parts come from all over the world. They don't get the sales with their soy or their almonds or whatever. Their parts come from all. If they're in the Central Valley and they're relying on those 2 reservoirs full of water that Trump decided to turn on the spigot because when he looks at the map, the water's up here and LA's down here and it's on fire. So you turn on these spigots, the water will go down on the map and put out the fire in LA. That's the genius that the farmers recognize after he actually did that and caused, just as an example, Central Valley farmers to not have that reservoir of water that's desperately needed to keep, wildlife hydrated and the crops watered for the entire summer through 110 to 115 degrees quite often. They feel that. Trump flags have been torn down by the most intelligent of them from the beginning. The promises that he's made to people who swallow the Kool-Aid find out very, very quickly they haven't. And the scary part, the sadder part, is, example, in the first administration, there was this wonderful company that decided to come by and they bought, I think, a majority of the farms that heartbreakingly went out of business. And these are farms that are generational. These are farms that, my granddaddy, that type stuff. They had to sell because of the tariffs, and farmers are going through that again because of more tariffs. They voted for it. But there was this company that bought a majority of them. Made a lot of money. A lot. Billions and billions, if not billions of dollars. Yeah, J.D. Vance was the vice president of that company. See how it works? So if there's any farmers still hanging on to the red hat and the Go Trump and the flags, and all of this stuff in your world hasn't hit you right square in the face, you probably need to think about someone taking over your farm anyway, because your grandfather who started the farm or what have you, that was probably diehard Republican. It was the real Republican. It wasn't what we have today. This is not Republican at all. This is not American at all. Fun fact, all these federal workers that are being fired, many of them are the ones that make sure the government actually allocates the money and doesn't steal the money and put it places it's not supposed to go. They don't work for the government anymore. Yay, smaller government. Woohoo. No more consumer protections. No more EPA investigations for a Deepwater Horizon drill for a mile down because George Bush decided to deregulate and give everyone 30 days to complete all their investigations before the automatic permit is triggered through the U.S. government. Drill, baby, drill. Deep water, baby. The truth comes out in painful ways. Just gotta be waking enough to recognize it. Just have to have your eyes open enough to recognize it.
Farmers in crisis align way out the door of the Woods Chapel Baptist Church in Brooklyn as hundreds of farmers from not only Northeast Arkansas, but from across the state came to voice their concerns about the current state of farming. Representatives from U.S. Congressman Rick Crawford, U.S. Senator Tom Cotton, and U.S. Senator John Boozman's offices were in attendance to hear those concerns. Among those farmers in attendance was a farmer in Woodruff County, Chris King. He told me this was his 39th harvest, and he has never seen it as bad as this.
And I've never been as worried as I am now about whether or not my kids and grandkids will be able to carry on.
For King, the main problem starts with the fact that they can't sell for profit.
I just would like to see somebody help us get our markets back. We need our exports, and we just need to be paid for what we do. And that's not happening. And we're in real trouble.
So I want to talk about this article really quick because it's all starting to make so much sense right now. This author and journalist was having lunch with friends. There was a white guy and he's married to a black lady, and they were talking politics. And he says that farmers weren't worried about Trump deporting migrants because, wait for it, they thought because unemployment was so high for black people that these black people would run back to the fields and do the jobs that the migrants were doing when they got deported. So she asked, where'd you get that information from? White farmer TikTok or MAGA Facebook memes? Where'd you get this information from? And her and the wife basically started giving him information, letting him know unemployment is only 6.8% for African Americans, and 93% of black people are currently working. Got so caught up in what they were hearing at Fox News and other places, thinking black jobs, immigrants are taking black jobs, that they just assumed they'd get rid of the immigrants and black people would take the immigrants' jobs. Sir, our ancestors did not march, die, and fight for civil rights so we could go back to the fields? What? But shout out to the Latino immigrant population that have mastered that labor with skill and stamina. This country doesn't even appreciate it enough. Oh, and by the way, when they do try to hire Americans, black or white, to do those jobs, most of them don't even last half a day. They just ghost them without even picking up their paychecks. True story. So y'all, tell me, do you really believe that they thought black people were planning to replace immigrants in that labor force if they got deported? Because I need to know who was smoking that logic. What do you think?
So them farmers really thought we was coming to get in them fields? Is that what I'm reading? Y'all really thought we was coming to get in those fields? It's funny when black people say stuff. Like over a year ago, when we said that Donald Trump specifically saying that immigrants were coming over here to steal black jobs meant that him deporting them was supposed to open the door for us to get back in the fields. Of course, immediately, most people said, y'all are reaching. Now here we are. They are literally on Twitter, all over social media, complaining about the fact that we did not come into those fields. I get the unemployment rate is rising rapidly in the black community. I believe for us, it's about 7% compared to about 4.5% for just about any other demographic. But that also means that 93% of us have jobs. 93% of us are working. And 93% of us were never coming out into those fields to pick your stupid crops. Y'all are supposed to be the pick them up by their bootstraps people, right? Y'all are always the ones talking about earn this, that, hard work, this, that. But then y'all never want to do your own damn work. Y'all brought us over here, all right? We spent hundreds of years doing that stuff for free. We spent another 100 years after that with Jim Crow rights. We fought, bled, died, protested, did everything we possibly could to gain the rights that we have now. We live in this country, we work, we own businesses. We are not going back to your fields. Can y'all just let that shit go? Like, can y'all let it go? It ain't gonna happen. And there's nothing you're gonna do to make it happen. You don't got the numbers, you don't have the manpower. We're not going back. The experiment failed, okay? And now guess what's happening? Food is rotting in the ground because y'all really thought we was coming back out there.
Trump basically tells Fox News that he regrets busting down on the immigrants and sending them back home because his farmers now need help. And all I can say is I knew he was going to regret this shit because there's no person really working harder than an immigrant due to the simple fact that they're on a mission. They're on a mission. They come to this country just to work. Immigrant is probably the hardest working person you know. Hands down. No ifs or buts about it. And it's just like they was not bothering you. I knew in the end time you were going to need these people to take care of life in America. If you really think about it, who are building these bridges that we drive on? Immigrants. Who are building these houses? Immigrants. Who are cutting the grass? Immigrants. So now that your farmers are in need, you want to double down and say, oh, we're going to bring back the immigrants and make sure they come legally. It's not easy to get rid of them. Well, you try to challenge the situation and it backfired on your ass. Don't bring them back now. You broke up happy homes because you hated immigrants. But now that you're in need and you thought the black people was going to enslave and help your farmers, which they're not. This is not back in the day. They barely want to fucking work. Don't bring the immigrants back now.
So let's talk about it. For years, MAGA politicians pushed the idea that immigrants, especially undocumented ones, were the cause of all economic problems. Jobs stolen, wages lowered, threats everywhere, right? And many followers and farmers, particularly, bought that narrative wholesale. Now, but here's the twist. The agricultural industry has relied heavily on immigrant labor for decades. It's not a secret. It's not hidden. It's not controversial. It's just a fact. So when Trump ramped up immigration crackdowns, deportations, raid, and policies designed to reduce immigrants' labor, it wasn't just some symbolic political win. It hit the agricultural industry hard. Now, the very people who voted for these policies are now realizing that crops don't harvest themselves, livestock don't take care of itself, and farm work doesn't magically attract workers who have been told for decades that this labor is beneath them. Now, but here is where the irony gets uncomfortable. Some of these farmers actually thought that perhaps making immigrants disappear would somehow force Black Americans to return to farm labor, as though stripping the country of immigrant workers would automatically create a workforce that had been historically pushed into certain jobs and brutally exploited. Now, the idea that people would just happily return to low-wage, grueling field work because there's no one else left isn't just misguided. It reveals the deeper assumptions some of these voters carried. Yet now reality is hitting these farmers harder than the tariff did. Now the fields are empty, the barns are understaffed, seasons are being lost, and the profit that once kept rural communities afloat are evaporating. But instead of acknowledging that the FAFO themselves, many are going on cameras crying about how Trump didn't explain it like this, right? Or how we didn't know it will affect us. Or my personal favorite, We thought he was only going after the bad ones. No, sir. The workforce is the workforce. The policies didn't discriminate between good worker, Josie, and scary political talking points immigrants. So when you support blanket policies, you get blanket consequences. And now these farmers are scrambling. Some are begging for exemptions. Some are asking for special visas for farm labor. Some are turning to automated equipment they can afford. Others are blaming Biden, even though these are the direct results of Trump's specific promises. But what they are definitely not doing is acknowledging that maybe, just maybe, the anti-immigrant rhetoric was short-sighted. Yes. Now, it's easy to chant slogans when life seems stable. It's easy to vote for policies that target groups you think you don't need. But eventually, reality knocks on the barn door. And right now, reality is saying, hey, remember those workers who fed your livestock, pick your produce, and kept your farm running? Yeah, they are gone. And your slogan can't harvest your crops. Now, it's also worth saying farm work is hard. Backbreaking, sunrise and sunset, seasonal, undervalued, underpaid. These farmers weren't offering $20 an hour salary jobs with benefits. They were offering tough, grueling labor for wages many Americans simply won't take. Especially when safer, cleaner, and better paying jobs exist in town. Immigrant workers filled the gap because they were willing to take those opportunities to support their families. And the country benefited from their labor. Without them, the agricultural economy collapses, and surprise, it's collapsing. This is the ultimate FAFO moment, not because people are suffering. That part isn't funny, but because the suffering stems from choices these farmers proudly advocated for, believing the consequences would magically fall on people they didn't like or understand. You cannot build an economy on wishful thinking, resentment, and political slogans. Eventually, someone has to milk the cow, right? Okay, so here we are, watching MAGA farmers publicly read about the results of the very policies they championed. Now, it's tragic, ironic, and a textbook lesson in what happens when politics becomes more about identity than practicality. But I want to know what you all think. Do you think these farmers will ever admit the policies they supported hurt them? Should the government grant emergency labor visas, or should these farmers deal with the consequences of the policies they demanded? And the biggest question of all, how does a country rebuild an agricultural labor force that was destroyed by political decisions? So you all drop your thoughts in the comment section below. I'm ready to read some interesting takes. Don't forget to like, subscribe, please subscribe, and turn on the notification for more commentary just like this. I'll see you guys on the next video, and until then, credit belongs to original creators.